gut says not to do.
I'm scared, Ian. Scared stiff.
Who's out there?
It was a sight that blinded.
No!
Oh, in heaven's name did that happen?
It is better not to question the workings of divine providence.
Alan, I swear.
Then I should certainly kill him.
At Sierra was Chris Warburton, who was in charge of the company on a commercial level. He knew an awful lot about putting crews together and getting equipment and good deals from Samuelson's and the equipment suppliers and people like that. And he and I used to chat. We became professional friends. And I used to talk to him. He loved movies but knew nothing about them. They used to have quiz nights there at Sierra, and they would always phone me up and see what the answer was to the various questions. So he was interested in what I was doing, and we talked and we decided to make a little short. He had the wherewithal and the knowledge of crews and equipment and all that stuff, and we could beg, borrow and steal what's called short ends of film. You know, the bit that's not used, it gets put in a can and put away in storage. We would have access to that to make our little film. Beg, borrow and steal writ large. And he and I, because I knew about the artistic side of it, I'm not making myself out to be clever, but I mean, I understood directing, writing, how it looked and all that, and editing. And we decided to make the lake. And I went through a couple of rewrites with him, and he liked the idea a lot. And so that's what we did. We put it all together. I found the location, which was at a merchant navy school, if I remember rightly, which had the lake, and various other locations around that same area. You never wanted them too far apart. And that's how that came about. And it was very good. He loved working on it. We got on really well. And the film came about because of that. Because we got on as friends, we decided to make this thing, and that's what we did. I mean, we went through Spotlight, the professional actors directory, to find various people like Julie Peasgood and Jean Fode.
There hasn't been anything down here for years by the looks of it.
Well, it doesn't go anywhere but the lake. I mean, that's still attached to the farm.
Julie was wonderful. She was so enthusiastic. It's ridiculous. And we made the film. I edited it. Chris was very happy with it. I'd never edited a film in my life before. And I hadn't even directed anything that long. I had to really think about what I was doing because so much was riding on it, and there was little people sitting on my shoulders nagging in my ear all the time. Don't screw this up, this is your chance, you know, that sort of thing. But it went well, and as far as I'm concerned, we did all right. And it got a cinema release, which can't be bad. So I live in the supernatural world up here. I live in the world of the uncanny, the world of how can that be, you know, that sort of thing. And I just one day thought, I wonder what would happen if a lake was haunted. If there was something wrong with the lake rather than the haunted house or the creaky stairs or, you know, the scare of being alone in a house at night or something. What if it was a daylight haunting and it was in the lake, under the water? And that set me off. And Chris loved the idea too, because it was different. Didn't think we'd seen anything like that then. There wasn't anything. And so we developed it more and more. And of course we had to work on the special effects a bit. We had somebody called Aquaman to do the hand out of the water. And it just developed from there. And I think because it was so different when we finished it, it got cinema release, which is good. But it's hard to say how you get an idea about something. It's just, you have an approach to life which in my case is the uncanny, the weird, the strange. It's left me a bit now because I'm getting on a bit. I want to be left in peace. But it's in there, and one day you suddenly think, what if, how about, I wonder, etc. And you put together a little synopsis of a story, which is easy to do, half a dozen sentences. It's harder to turn it into a script, even harder to turn it into a movie. But that's the process. I particularly love dogs. I had dogs in my life, in my young life. Many of them. There's one I'm staring at up there called Jasper. But I always loved, I'm trying to think, the Rottweiler breed, because they're intensely intelligent dogs. And you really have to work at becoming a friend of one of those. And I thought, they have such menace, that's the one I want for the lake, because he really does have menace. He's got to look at you, and you feel, my God, I'm not going to cross his path. But I wanted to. I wanted to cross his path, make friends with him, and have him in the movie. And Joan Woodgate, who was the owner of whatever the dog, if something kennels was called, I approached her and I said, I want Condor, because I've seen him in...
Is he in the Omen?
That's it. Please, can I have him? And so she started to train him up to do certain things, because they do that before they ever come on set, weeks before. And that's how we came to get him. And I formed a really nice affinity with him. I could talk to him from halfway across the lake, because I had to sometimes. The camera's out in the middle of the lake, I'm on the raft with it, and Condor's over here, and the actors are supposed to be asleep at the picnic. And I could talk to him and sign language him and get him to do things, because you've probably noticed that some of the shots, he's just working on his own virtually. I mean, if there was a handler, they could be almost anywhere. But I loved working with Condor, and I got what I think is a super performance out of him.
Condor? Oh, in heaven's name did that happen?
How should I know?
Inside of you, you think, I'm not going to have any sounds here. I'm just going to quiet again, because people hear things that you can't put on the soundtrack. You know what I mean? Bring 3 people into an empty house and they'll all hear different things. There's a creak upstairs, or that door's creaking downstairs. So just have silence and let them invent things to put on the soundtrack for themselves. But silence in a natural location, we were lucky there, because you didn't get the traffic noise that you get now wherever you go in this country. Not that you can't control it, but sometimes it's nice to hear that natural sound. And I've always loved that, and I've always wanted to use it more. And I think I did. And I used it quite a bit in The Appointment too, if you think about it. But it's telling, very telling, silence.